Everything may not be as it seems, with some of the funniest and most unusual legal cases from my home Australia. Hey there, LawBlender here again, your friendly neighbourhood Australian solicitor and New York attorney. Back with another video that mixes tech and law until it's understandable. Today we've uncovered some of the funniest and most unusual legal cases from my home Australia. Let's kick things off with a real cracker. Ever heard of the case of the missing crocodile? When the Queen versus Donley from 1969, a man stole a crocodile from a zoo. Now you might think that's crazy, but wait till you hear the defence. They argued it wasn't a serious theft because the crocodile was an unusual asset. I mean, come on. It's a crocodile, not a paperweight. Next up, we've got Kabel against Kable from 2011. This bloke tried to get out of paying a fine by claiming his name was spelt Kable, K-A-B-E-L, instead of Kable, K-A-B-L-E. Talk about grasping at straws. The court didn't have any of it. They basically said, nice try, mate, but you're still paying the fine. In third possession, let's talk about Goodwill against the Queen, 1984. This genius set fire to his own house to claim insurance money, and then had the audacity to say it was accidental. I don't know about you, but I've never accidentally, deliberately, on purpose committed arson before. The next in the list is the Queen versus McMahon from 1993. During a protest, a man threw a beer at a police officer, hitting him in the head. When arrested for this serious crime, he used the defense that throwing the beer was a gesture of goodwill. I don't know about you, but I usually throw goodwill by giving someone a beer, not throwing one at them. And finally, what's been dubbed the world's smallest robbery. In the New South Wales case of the Queen against Thompson from 2017, a man was charged with theft for trying to steal a few chips, or crisps for our British friends, from a grocery store. Just a few chips. I guess he really, really wanted that salty, crunchy goodness and needed to be punished for it. I've got a confession to make here. These supposedly hilarious cases, these mildly funny cases, they're not real. They're not from Australia. Not a single one of them. That's right, every single one of these Australian court cases is completely made up. But here's the kicker. I didn't make them up. They were generated by an AI large language model when I asked for a list of real Australian legal cases. Here's what I asked for. Hi, I'm LawBlender, your charming neighbourhood Australian solicitor and New York attorney. I'm back again to mix tech and law into education. I'm working on creative video ideas for YouTube that will go viral. I want you to tell me the 5 funniest Australian court cases you can find. They need to be double-checked as real and need to have proper citations with links and be from Australia. Give them to me in a table with the case name, including citation and link to the case, a summary of the facts, the findings, and the reason why my audience will find them unusual and hilarious. Here are the results. As you can see, it undoubtedly says that these are real. If you look at the references and you're familiar with Australian legal citation, these all look real. The dates look real for the types of citations they are. The jurisdictions and the citation types look correct. Before I'd present anything, I would always check to make sure it was correct. We go down the list. The first one, for R versus Donley. I searched the New South Wales law reports and found no such case I strolled. I looked for the subject matter, I looked for the citation, I looked for the party names. I then even went to jade.io and paid for searches. For Kable versus Kable, it doesn't exist in the Australian criminal reports. I looked up the High Court for cases by that name, and then I looked in Google, I looked in paid sources. I'm sure it's not real. I can find a Kable case, but it's definitely not about getting out of a fine. I even looked for the misspelt debt defense. That's not a thing. Goodwill against the Queen. I did find this one. A case does exist with that name or that similar name, but it's about criminal liability. It's not about arson for assurance fraud. I'm not sure if this is worse to find a similar case, because it means even if you find a link and it opens up a case with that name, everything may not be as it seems. The case of the Queen against McMahon from 1993 doesn't appear in the Victorian reports using the same search as I did before. And that world's smallest robbery, I couldn't find it under the facts. I couldn't find it looking for the names. I couldn't find any newspaper articles talking about the world's smallest robbery. When you look at these cases long enough, you might expect an obscure case from the UK from the late 1800s, talking about someone stealing some sweets or something so trivial. I can't believe this would make it to a court in today's era, let alone be reported on. So unfortunately, none of those 5 hilarious cases exist. This demonstrates how something that looks right mightn't be, particularly when coming from a source that's mostly reliable. I don't know if you've tried these AI tools, but mostly they point me in the right direction. And that's what makes this even harder, because it looks right. While I believe AI and large language models are some of the most promising technologies of our lifetime, definitely at the moment, they are not perfect. I believe today is the worst these AI technologies will ever be, and they're only going to get better. But what does this mean for you? Before you use them in a legal setting, it's really important to know that legal settings need to be accurate, complete, and honest. It's absolutely critical we don't trust what AI models generate, especially when it comes to important matters like legal information. How can you validate legal information? Not just from AI, but from any source. And particularly since lots of people are using AI, you don't even know if the sources you trust are correct. Here's some tips that I've got. Always go and check the primary sources. For Australian cases, there are free resources like Ostly. You may be able to access the official law reports from your library, or sources like Jade often can find the report. If you look up something called a medium neutral citation, you can often find the cases on the websites of that court directly. Once you find a case, even if you only read the headnote, the bit at the front describing the facts and your findings, you'll at least know if the case is correct and if you're likely to be on the right track. Cross-reference any findings with reputable legal databases or government websites. Even look for blogs on the topic. If there's lots of traffic about something that gives a similar finding, it's probably real. Number 3, look for consistent citations across multiple sources. If something really is an influential case, I'd expect it to be reported not just in one case, but in multiple cases that refer to it. Secondly, be wary of cases that sound too good or too funny. If it sounds absolutely perfect, make sure you go through in exact detail. Look and understand what the judges were talking about, and that it really does relate to you and the facts that you need to line it up. And finally, if you're in doubt, consult with a legal professional. If you're dealing with an issue, it's always best to consult with a qualified lawyer who can provide advice tailored to your specific situation. If you can't afford it, there are things like community legal centres in Australia or legal clinics in other jurisdictions. So remember, while AI can be a fantastic tool for generating ideas or a general understanding on a topic, it's not currently a substitute for proper legal research or advice. So there you have it. While these fake cases can give it a good, or at least a small laugh, they can serve as a reminder of the value of critical thinking and professional expertise in the legal field. If you found this video eye-opening, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel for more insights. And if you have any questions about verifying legal information or experiences, positive or negative, with AI-generated content, leave them in the context below or send them to me at LawBlender.com. I read all of them and do my best to answer where I can. Until next time, this is LawBlender, reminding you that when it comes to legal information, always blend it with a healthy dose of skepticism and professional advice. Stay informed, stay critical, and I'll see you next time.